Welcome to our webinar, Precision Targeting Digital Campaigns That Deliver. My name is Arda, and I'm part of the marketing team here at StackAdapt. Now, let's get started, and I'll hand it over to Matt.
Thank you so much indeed, Arda, and a warm welcome to everyone joining us today for this webinar. Today, I will actually be covering specific programmatic targeting tactics that, as Arda referred to there, are really capable of driving those superb outcomes that we are all no doubt looking for. But first, who am I? So I'm Matt Thomas. I'm a UK-based sales director here at StackAdapt. My primary focuses and goals at the business are very much about driving adoption for StackAdapt, particularly amongst independent agencies and small to medium enterprises, and very much like focusing on helping our customers to develop their own programmatic offerings, differentiate, challenge those status quos, and compete way above their weight, largely through our StackAdapt technology, range of services, solutions, and the platform itself. And that might be a good place to start actually as well. So for those that are new to StackAdapt, or those that know a little bit about us, but maybe could benefit from a swift refresher, here's a swift overview of who we are and what we do essentially. So StackAdapt is a comprehensive programmatic advertising platform, also known as a DSP, a demand-side platform. We offer media buyers a solution that allows them to plan, execute, analyze, and manage all of their digital campaigns across all available programmatic channels, as you can see on screen here. This covers a diverse array of inventory and publisher partners, and represents a huge opportunity to reach your target market, your ideal fit consumers, and potential customers in the open marketplace. Swift history lesson here. So since landing on British shores in the closing stages of 2020, we have very much won a lot of favor amongst digital marketers through offering and providing a sophisticated solution that's super intuitive, offering a range of powerful proprietary targeting tactics, solutions, services, and really backing that up with a very customer-centric, human approach to servicing and client management as well. Lastly on this, just we remain entirely independent. We are an independent full stack platform. We're fiercely competitive. We have huge ambitions, and we often find that we share a lot of key values and marketing philosophies with our loyal customer base, and really prioritize and pursue those kind of like meaningful partnerships that we can really grow together and achieve great things in the programmatic space. So that wraps it up for programmatic, just as a whistle-stop tour. Let's get into the main body of what we're going to cover today from an agenda perspective. So we'll obviously be talking about programmatic audience targeting, and we'll get into some of the solutions that we offer specifically at StackAdapt today. Google, as we all know, announced last week that they won't actually be taking away cookies from Chrome, but I will indeed touch on cookieless and privacy-centric strategies, as well as solutions that you can leverage to make the most of your first-party data and alternative data sets. We will also look to talk about the future of audience targeting, thinking about how we can adopt a multi-channel strategic approach, and how you can just all-round level up your targeting strategies to meet the modern demands of programmatic and open internet marketing. Lastly, we'll dive into measuring sort of like campaign success, evaluating your tactics, and should we have time, we'll get into the Q&A section where we'll have the opportunity, or you will have the opportunity, to post your questions, and I can get to them and provide some responses in more detail. Hope all that sounds good. Let's get into it. So to start us off, let's take a look at how we can set ourselves up for success and become masters of audience segmentation. You may well be familiar with what is on screen, or even follow a similar approach yourself in your agencies or businesses. But everything starts At the end, incidentally enough, and by the end I mean the customer. Who are we actually trying to reach through the creative that we're putting out there, through the media that we're buying? Who are we trying to influence? Where can they be found, and how might we actually go about doing that? So we absolutely must conduct research. Goes without saying, but start gathering data through surveys, interviews, analytics tools. This will really provide you with the insights into your audience's demographics, psychographics, and behaviors. A number of my clients and our clients, our customers, lean on tools like Google Analytics. They might look at their social media, and of course, like actually go direct to their customers and ask for feedback. This is super invaluable data that can inform targeting and prepare us for success down the line. Once we have that, we really need to start identifying those patterns. So we're looking for commonalities and patterns in that data that you've actually collected. Then group those kind of like similar characteristics together to form distinct segments. For instance, you might actually find a segment of young urban professionals who are health conscious, tech savvy, and spend their time reading GQ, something along those lines. Next, we can dive into creating detailed personas. So for each segment, really kind of like drill down into the potential ages, what their occupations are, what their associated interests or challenges might be, and where they're at in life. What are their goals? Where are they spending their time? What consumption habits, if there are any, are they starting to execute? What type of media do they consume? And also, when do they consume that media? Following that, you need to validate those personas. So share them with your team, your stakeholders, ensure they align with observations and feedback. Really sense check it, scrutinize it, but be open to surprises. But as I like to say, always make sure that it passes the eye test. Refine as necessary based on input, and maybe even add some additional data to support your claims there as well. Now, finally, the fun bit, go out there and actually implement these personas, right? Speak to your technology partners, your planning teams. Think about how you might go about reaching them in the big bad world of the open internet or social media platform, whatever it might be. Tailor your messaging, creative assets, and channel strategies to meet those specific needs and preferences of each of those personas, and then iterate, reflect, regularly update those personas to reflect your growing or changing customer base over time as well. Thinking about how we can level up here, thinking about how we can take this even further. There are a number of ways in which we can approach advanced audience segmentation, and here are just a few things that you could look to explore. So RFM segmentation is a powerful marketing tool. It analyzes customer behavior based on 3 key factors, which are recency of last purchase, frequency of purchases, and monetary value spent. Now, by categorizing customers using these metrics, we can create targeted, personalized marketing strategies. This approach allows us to tailor our communications to specific customer groups, resulting in higher response rates, increased loyalty, and greater customer lifetime value, all the really good stuff there. Now, RFM segmentation then turns that customer data into actionable insights, which is the most important thing, enabling us to then connect more effectively with our audience and drive key business growth. Moving on, micro-segmentation is another advanced marketing technique. It aims to create highly specific customer segments by combining multiple different data points together. It goes beyond traditional demographics to include behavioral, psychographic, and indeed contextual data from various sources like CRM, web, analytics, and social media. If we spice this up using AI and machine learning, marketers can also then identify intricate patterns and create dynamic, granular segments. Thinking about an example here, sometimes as small as 100 to 1,000 customers for B2C, or even individual accounts if we're advertising for in the business to business space as well. So it's extremely powerful. This approach enables hyper-targeted marketing strategies, allowing businesses to obviously tailor their messaging, and offers unprecedented precision. Ultimately, that's going to lead to better effective campaigns and improved customer engagement as well. Now, behavioral cohort analysis is a method that groups users based on specific actions they take rather than who they are. It involves identifying key behaviors, grouping users who perform similar actions within a given time frame, and then actually tracking those users over time as well. This approach uncovers patterns leading to desired outcomes, such as high-value conversions or long-term retention. For example, in a fitness app, let's take a fitness app for instance, we might find that users who join a challenge in their first month are twice as likely to become paying subscribers. And just knowing that, having that insight, can then allow us to focus our efforts on engaging or encouraging, I should say, specific behaviors, potentially leading to twofold, threefold conversion rates and increased efficiencies. Now, it is really key that we identify those insights, we turn those user actions into things that we can genuinely action in a marketing sense, and then adapt our strategies as a result to make those data-driven decisions that can ultimately lead to superb outcomes. Finally, something that we're very much passionate about at StackAdapt and a recurring theme throughout today's presentation is about contextual segmentation, and this really is a cutting edge approach to marketing, and particularly in the open internet. It focuses on the when and where of user engagement is actually happening, rather than just who the user actually is. It analyzes the immediate environment of a user's interaction, such as the content on a web page, the current weather, a physical location, and then serves relevant content or ads based on that context itself. Going to bring this to life a little bit, but for instance, someone reading an article about hiking might see outdoor gear ads, camping, hiking boots, hiking poles, whatever that might be, while a user checking a weather app on a rainy day might receive promotions for umbrellas. This method really does offer real-time relevance without relying on historical data or cookies, making it super privacy friendly and immediately impactful. Like, I always think that this builds really strong positive brand associations and really allows you to drill down into that share of voice in those key moments. Now, by aligning messages with the user's current context, we can really start to drill down into how we can leverage this to drive higher engagement rates and provide a more valuable, personalized experience that puts the user center front. Now, accurate audience segmentation allows you to tailor your marketing efforts to specific groups within your target audience. This ensures that your messages resonate more effectively, leading to higher engagement and conversion rates overall. By understanding your audience and segmenting them accurately, you can also allocate your resources more efficiently, creating those more personalized and relevant content, and ultimately drive better results for your campaign. Now, I mentioned previously, audience segmentation is not just about knowing who they are, but it's also about understanding where they can be reached. So in broad terms, what are the media consumption habits of our audience? In a programmatic sense, what channel would be best served to deliver the message and when? So we're all very familiar with the funnel, another presentation with a funnel in it, but it's very reliable here. But this is a very simplified approach to help bring this to life. I think it's a very worthwhile example on how we can align data and channel throughout the customer journey. So working from the top, awareness. Think broad reach. Maybe we're going after and using demographics, geographic indexes. We want to put out a powerful message and increase that brand recall. I'd quite often recommend to clients to start thinking about CTV, digital out of home, two great ways in which they can communicate and really kind of like maximize impact and educate their audience on what their brand proposition is. Moving into the mid funnel, we obviously got consideration, trying to drive people to start thinking more seriously about the brand and tap into those emotional components. So explore interest-based targeting, associated interest, or even direct interests, psychographics, life events. How can you strengthen your brand's association with things that might be occurring in somebody's everyday life, as well as specific milestones. But then think about targeting those users at this stage through content heavy channels like video and audio. Lastly, lower funnel, very much like conversion focused here. So it's key that we match to the buyer journey and think about purchase intent signals. So prioritizing brand and product specifics. More often than not, really from a channel perspective, display and native work extremely well here too. The crucial thing to note, just lastly on this slide, is you must understand the nuances and the availability, more specifically the availability of targeting tactics relative to channel. Digital out of home is not necessarily going to be the best driver of direct conversions, certainly from an attribution perspective, nor will display offer enough impact to significantly increase brand awareness. So be wise, leverage full funnel strategies, but understand the nuance of why you're advertising in specific channels and then the data in which you're going to be able to leverage there. Now, my top tip is align those channels with the specific tactics, meet the corresponding objective. That's super key. And then moreover, use appropriate KPIs and measures of success. We've all seen, I'm sure, the David Beckham, Victoria Beckham meme that circled around media and marketing professionals last year following the Beckham documentary. What do you really, I want awareness. What do you really want? Conversions. It's really key that we align and we measure success in the right ways. So with audience planning and prep hopefully sorted, armed with a deeper understanding of our target market, we can now actually move into the tactics to reach them and expand on how we might go about it. So what targeting options are actually available in programmatic? Now, as you can see on the slide here, there is an abundance. There is an abundance, and this is by no means an exhaustive list at all. The slide helps to illustrate the breadth of targeting possibilities, many of which are actually unique to programmatic and therefore offer distinct advantages over other digital platforms like social. Now, it's helpful, well, I certainly find it helpful at this stage to start thinking about how we might categorize or group these tactics together. For me, I tend to break them out into prospecting tactics. These are tactics aimed at identifying new potential customers, such as contextual targeting. And then on the flip side of that, retargeting. So these are tactics that are aimed at reaching existing customers or online consumers that you've actually already served an ad to, you've already delivered some level of engagement with. So like site visitor retargeting might be a great example in that space. It's also possible to look at it from a timing perspective. Now, are you leveraging real-time signals like location? Or is it like a historical signal like a recent content browsing audience? Lastly, think about the provenance of that data. So what is the actual data currency here? Is it owned or gathered by the advertiser themselves? So like first party CRM records, or is it acquired or bought through an external data provider, therefore making it third party? Example of this might be transaction data from a credit card company like MasterCard, for example. The beauty is you can cherry pick. You're spoiled for choice, but you can go in, you can cherry pick which ones will be best suited for your audience, for your brand, for the narratives that you're trying to drive, for the people that you're trying to reach. So there's so many great ways in programmatic that you can test at scale, learn, and then optimize towards those that are driving the best outcomes and refine over time, come back to that feedback loop. Pardon me. So here's where it starts to get quite interesting, because you can certainly have your cake and eat it. It's possible to overlay segments together, stack them up, intersect these audience, enabling you to actually create some really, really bespoke, custom, and granular audiences for you to target in programmatic. This sort of way of targeting and a tactic is definitely like an ever-present in my own audience recommendations to my clients, particularly when meeting consideration and conversion KPIs. We have a really, really tight niche audience that we need to drive performance out of. This is a great way of starting to layer these things on top of each other. So a custom segment, just to bring this to life a little bit more, a custom segment in our platform combines data sets from a wide variety of sources. So it could be a case of, I want to intersect a third-party B2B segment for IT professionals with a browsing segment of consumers or of users who have recently consumed content around cloud-based software. So on one hand, that kind of rich data, B2B data set is my ideal fit customer. These are people who actually, could be an end user. They could be the ones that want to actually implement my product at their business. And then on top of that, I get to use that browsing audience to find people who are actively consuming content, actively reading articles around cloud-based software, and that could be the product that our advertisers, that our brands are selling. So you get that really, really great enrichment of the data set, ideal fit audience who are crucially in market. I mentioned the browsing audiences and browsing segments. These are in StackAdapt a really, really great way of creating custom or customized audiences based on their recent browsing history and the content they actually engage with online. So this feature offers a huge amount of control, as you can actually select the phrases, the keywords and topics that you actually want to target. Essentially consumers, online users that are consuming this type of content. So you input the in-context phrase, or what we call in-context phrases, and you can even tailor and refine through out-of-context phrases to meet your exact needs. So once you put all of those phrases in context and out of context, the platform will actually do its thing. It'll actually provide you with a sample of phrases related to the topics that you've suggested, that you've inputted, I should say. You could then look to add or subtract and look to further use to refine the accuracy of that targeting segment, of that browsing audience. Now, the bubbles that you see on screen here are the relevant contextual phrases and suggestions that I'm actually referring to there. So like, if they don't make sense to your targeting needs, you can by all means go ahead and eliminate them. And then this allows you to continue to refine and become super, super hyper relevant to the content, the exact type of content that you want your audience to be reaching and engaging from. Another really cool feature here is being able to decide on the audience size as well. So the platform sort of slider function that you see on towards the kind of top right out far right hand side there. This allows you to toggle or slide towards a more interesting audience, so a more interested audience, so a more specific. This type of audience is very, very relevant to the topics and the phrases that I want. However, this is going to be a lot smaller, and then you can simply also then toggle it to the right or slide it to the right to allow the platform to scale up that audience, to think about more associated topics that might fall into consideration from those kind of C words that you've been provided. Quick example. So if you're running a holiday campaign, you might want to target users who are thinking about holiday gift ideas. So you can adjust that slider to target a smaller one or a more interested audience for a higher engagement, or a larger audience for broader reach. So if it's a conversion campaign, I always recommend slide to the left, or if it's an awareness campaign, slide further to the right. It's a pretty simple rule of thumb there. So we've learned about a very, very powerful prospecting tactic in browsing audiences, very, very customizable and bespoke to each campaign, allowing you to tailor to the buyer's journey on both the product, associated topic, interest level. So let's give some oxygen to the other side, not prospecting now, but thinking about retargeting. And I really don't hope I'm teaching you all to suck eggs, because there are definitely some cool things in here that we might not be already doing in the retargeting space. So the classic is obviously site retargeting. I'm sure you all are very, very familiar with this, but this involves placing a pixel on your website or any relevant landing pages that you have permission to, and you can create a pool of users who have visited or interacted with your site. You can then retarget them, re-engage them with creative to encourage repeat visitation, stay top of mind, or even, I should say, drive consideration to purchase. Again, if you're running an e-commerce site, for example. That's table stakes. Now we get into things like engagement retargeting. So engagement retargeting actually allows you to deliver retargeted messaging based on a series of indicated actions on site. Maybe they've viewed a video on your site. Maybe they've engaged or read a specific page that indicates that they have a higher interest level in your products or services. And then they would be worth going into a more aggressive retargeting pool. So there's loads of cool things that we can do in that, and the way in which we kind of pixel up or track engagements on site could just be the difference maker when it comes to a good retargeting strategy and a great one. Impression retargeting enables you to retarget consumers who have been served an impression, which means that perhaps they've seen a programmatic ad but not yet engaged with it. So they didn't click it, but maybe they had seen it. And a large part of the advantages of doing this lead you to sequential targeting strategies rather than retargeting. So think sequential. Think with the ability to serve one display creative version, and then be able to serve follow that up in sequence with either another display creative version or a native. So you can actually then think about how you might be able to apply this to cross-channel sequential strategies and marrying up narratives and creating these very synergized cross-channel media experiences, which I think is really, really powerful. You can also then think about that narrative that I was talking about. Think about how you might be communicating, your brand story, and you can reveal something new at every single touch point, or you could start thinking about how you might drive people from the first impression, which might be very generic awareness, through to revealing more about the brand, incorporating different CTAs, and then almost taking them on a journey through advertising that ultimately ends in more CTA focus, more call to action, encouraging messaging. And ultimately, if they don't engage with that, then you can exclude them altogether from future targeting. Listen and view retargeting allows you to retarget audiences that have listened, viewed 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%, otherwise known as quartile completions of your audio, video, connected TV ads, for example. Now, similar to previous, you can also deploy similar sequential strategies as a result and help to drive lower funnel engagements as well. For example, you might serve a CTV ad serve a CTV ad that you then later want to retarget people who have watched 100% of that ad, actually completed it, with a display ad on another device in the household. That's all very, very possible. And then finally, just to round things off here, click retargeting. So click retargeting are essentially retargeting audience who have simply clicked on an ad and then re-engage them with another message and a strong call to action. So maybe they've clicked, maybe they've demonstrated that they have a certain level of engagement, maybe they've gone to site, but you're using that click as an indicator of intent there. Let's get into some privacy-centric targeting. And now, full disclosure, this section was for short named cookieless targeting originally, but flashback to 1 week ago, Google announced that, they're just going to persist with cookies for Chrome. But the reality is that this is no less important, right? Because in spite of Chrome retaining third-party cookies, the likes of Safari, Mozilla, Brave, a lot of other browsers have actually, we've been living in a cookieless world with them. They haven't allowed for third-party cookies to be available. And so altogether, I firmly believe that the momentum of cookieless and not being reliant on third-party cookies in particular, the train has left the station and it's too difficult to stop. So everyone wants more privacy and control measures in the open internet. Consumers do, and so these are really, really powerful solutions that we want to communicate today. So with that in mind, let's think about how we might be able to purposefully design strategies that actually encompass robust, accurate, powerful tactics that are actually scalable across the open internet, as I said, no matter the browser. So if you're blessed with third-party data, this is a really, really great way of going about how you might be able to leverage it. First-party data in StackAdapt is actually powered by the likes of LiveRamp, HubSpot, and Snowflake. There are a number of market-to-market nuances when it comes to first-party data, GDPR, and privacy. So it is a consideration that we can pick up another time. But let's get started on how you might go about harnessing your first-party data in general. So think about how you might be able to action effective acquisition based strategies through identifying new customers based on signals gathered from your existing customers. Now, imagine being able to clone your existing customer base and create multiples of them. So you can achieve that by actually building lookalike audiences using your first-party data as a seed audience, leveraging them to build scale towards your next set of potential customers. Another valuable usage of first-party data is through loyalty, retention, and upsell strategies. This allows you to build loyalty by suggesting supplementary products, cross-selling, upselling to increase those sales and indeed levels of customer satisfaction. You can further this strategy by creating suppression lists, thus excluding audiences that may not be the best fit for your campaign. They may have churned, or they may have declared themselves not relevant or not interested in pursuing products or services with your brand any longer, so we can eliminate some wastage there as well and increase those efficiencies. Lastly, win back strategies. These are a great tool to win back churned customers by leveraging sort of like promotions, discounts, and other value drivers that this audience base may actually be interested in as well. Moving on to two more solutions that you can actually tap into in the StackAdapt programmatic platform. Now, we've invested heavily in contextual targeting solutions. We've developed two advanced proprietary options, page context AI and keyword rule targeting. Now, both of which are inherently cookie and indeed alternative identifier free. Instead, these two focus on real-time content comprehension and consumption, and therefore serve ads adjacent to relevant and specific content. Going into a little bit more detail on page context AI, this really is an exceptional tool. It's quite possibly my favorite of all. It's now a patented technology built bespoke for StackAdapt. It enables advertisers to build bespoke contextual strategies by inputting in context and out of context phrases to determine the best ad placements based on the site's content. Now, again, similar to like those browsing audiences that I showed you earlier, a similar mechanism, a similar methodology. You input your in-context phrases and also your out-of-context phrases so that our AI can determine the best placements based on the publisher or site's content. Now, in this instance, we allow up to 20 in-context phrases and support real-time ad delivery based on these phrases. These ads then appear adjacent to that content, those hyper-relevant articles, maximizing the effectiveness of your content strategy, and giving so much room to build really like positive brand associations with topical content. So you can see the example on screen here. The in-context phrases are sporting, sports, live scores. The ad reads through. The ads read through. The tool scrapes the open internet, analyzing millions of web pages and articles where programmatic ads are present, and then it finds out the exact context of the page and then delivers ads at scale to relevant context, or relevant content, I should say. Now, if we go on to the other side, keyword rule targeting, this is slightly different. While page context AI is looking at the context of the page and then delivering ads on content that is deemed relevant, keyword rule targeting actually delivers ads based on the exact match keywords and combinations of keywords and phrases that you are looking to target. This targeting capability can be leveraged for native, display and video advertising campaigns on desktop and mobile web. Interesting factor to note here is that KRT and page context AI, keyword rule targeting and page context AI have proved that it can deliver outcomes that are comparable to the performance of retargeting campaigns. So it is quite a, can be used as a real kind of a great lower funnel performance driver. Key differentiator between the two, however, is that for page context AI campaigns, our AI takes the lift of delivering those ads through the content on the site and then interpreting the context of it, qualifying its relevance and value. But for keyword rule targeting, you are the one in the driver's seat. You have complete control in terms of identifying and putting those exact keywords that you would like to target. You can add up to 100 keywords that you might want to use. So the longer the list, the better the scale. And obviously just those limitations with page context AI that I mentioned before, only being more topical based and limited to 20. Again, like in both instances, once you've inputted, the phrases, the topics, and the keywords that you want to target, the platform is really clever. It actually gives you a preview of where your ads could actually appear. So with page context AI, goes and seeks out relevant content that it's identified as, as valuable to the keywords or topics that you want to target. With keyword rule targeting, it'll do exactly the same, but it'll find those exact matches. So you don't need to, guess or have to imagine where your ads are actually going to appear. You can proofread through those recommendations and actually see where your ads could be placed. So some contextual best practices now, thinking about how we might be able to leverage these in the best way possible. There are various use cases for which you may find page context AI to be extremely useful when targeting is context specific. Balancing scale with accuracy is crucial, but fear not, a lot of the heavy lifting is done for you. Now, finding and suggesting additional associated topics for you to choose from and add into the campaign. There are two here are my top two recommendations, I should say, when using page context AI. The first one is to broaden your audience by broadening context. So if you're looking for scale, page context AI will deliver on high-performing web pages. Ensure that you use phrases geared towards like topical content. That means you target product categories versus specific product SKUs. To give an example of this, instead of using like resistance bands when targeting workout equipment, you could actually just use workout equipment and then lean in on the recommended phrases to drill down into the exact kind of like content that you're trying to look for. Another tip is really to think about the user's mindset. So we kind of like had a lot of a product focus there, but one of the best ways to achieve scale, it's crucial to actually think about what type of articles they might be reading. Are they relevant to the context that you're trying to target, and ensure that the ad then actually resonates with them? So, for example, we have observed that when advertising, I should say, for sunny travel destinations, ads perform really well on weather pages when the weather is bad, or when the weather forecast that is being reported is terrible, and that happens quite a lot in the UK. The second strategy is to target based on stage of life. So contextual ads are extremely effective for targeting audiences based on their life stage. So many milestones in life, such as starting university, getting married, or actually having a child. This will correlate with the type of person that is actually looking for that. So, like I said, get into the user's mindset, identify what stage of life they're in, and then think about the content that they may be consuming in order to push relevant ads to it. Okay, so that wraps up a lot of the content around what we can widely use today. Before we move on, I just want to kind of like give a quick check to ensure that you're all still with me, and maybe take a little sip of water myself. But good opportunity to think about the question box again, guys. Please do pop in any kind of like thoughts that you may be having, or any kind of like potential use cases that you'd like to explore with me further, and we'll do our very best to get to it today. And if not, we can follow up with you directly after the webinar finishes. But here we go, quick sip of water for me, and then we're going back to the future. So obviously, I think one of the things that's top mind for us, particularly as digital marketers, is the use of AI and machine learning. So it's continuously coming up. It won't go away. It's here to stay, and it's going to be, my advice is to embrace it, to lean in, and really to realize the potential, because it's really set to have a profound impact on ad tech in general, but also as we move specifically into the future of audience targeting. So it's important to note that kind of like the use of AI and machine learning is not new to us at StackAdapt. It's not new to ad tech in the MarTech space, and I'm sure you've all kind of experimented in ChatGPT in your own personal professional lives as well. But most players in the space will have incorporated AI to some degree for the last 10 years, right? But a large part of that has been focused around automation, enabling us to do more with less, operate more efficiently, etc., etc. But one of the reasons why it's perhaps so pertinent now is due to significant developments in the generative AI space and the opportunities from a marketing and advertising perspective that then presents. So it's already revolutionized, or generative AI has already revolutionized the ad tech industry, but there are a huge amount of benefits that enhance the efficiency, personalization, and effectiveness of planning and executing advertising campaigns as well. Here are a handful of my top applications that I've I've seen, and I think again, like AI is going to continue to have a really positive impact on. So personalized advertising. Now, generative AI can analyze vast amounts of data to understand individual consumer preferences and behaviors. This enables the creation of highly personalized ads that resonate with specific audiences, leading to those higher engagement and conversion rates that we're looking for. Dynamic ad creation is again, ads that can adapt in real time based on user interactions and indeed contextual data. For example, AI can change the content of an ad based on the time of day, the weather, or a user's recent browsing history, or indeed current browsing history, current browsing activity where they are right then, to make that ad more relevant and engaging. Audience segmentation, huge part of today's call, but AI can also help you to process large data sets, identify distinct audience segments based on those behaviors, preferences, demographics. This is really going to allow us to be more precise in our targeting, ensuring that ads are only shown to the most relevant audiences, thereby improving our performance and possibly reducing wastage too. Enhanced customer insights as well. I think we don't necessarily have an insight problem. We have like loads of insights out there, but it's about choosing and opting or acting on them with extreme speed and velocity, and then consistently learning. So from a customer insights perspective, AI is going to really help us to deepen our understanding of customer behavior, how it changes over time, and then that can be fed back into marketing strategies and more effective future campaigns. Real-time decision making kind of like speaks for itself. It's going to really allow us to understand those insights and then act on them quicker, test quicker, learn quicker, and all around generate better outcomes. And then one other thing is like cross-channel consistency. So generative AI can help us to think about how we can link advertising messages across different channels, and ensure that we're, I guess, like allocating or upweighting towards those channels, specific times of day, whatever it might be, to really forge a cohesive brand story that ultimately delivers great outcomes. Multi-channel approach. So when we're talking about how we interact daily with our media strategies, we need to really look at how we tackle that from a multi-channel perspective. So I don't know about you guys, but I have a smart TV at home, a connected TV device, a smart speaker, 2 phones, 2 laptops. I have a personal one, I have a work one. So that's 6 devices, 6 screens, or indeed screenless because of smart speaker. 6 opportunities alone to reach me before I even leave the house. And then, of course, like I'm exposed to numerous screens on my commute, digital out of home, train stations, trains, bus stops, dare I say it, in the WeWork that I'm in right now. There are loads of advertising opportunities everywhere. So leveraging a multi-channel approach, or through leveraging a multi-channel approach, you can really try to create a consistent, complementary customer experience from literally the moment your customers wake up to the moment they go to bed. So success in this space will largely be determined by our ability to maintain a single view of the customer across channels. So think about how you might be able to consolidate your digital media buying into one or a handful of platforms and really take advantages of the nuances of each of those. Another is to leverage maybe like an ad server or a data analytics tool as a single source of truth. It's also important to maybe think about how you might set control groups and measure multiple touch points. Can you run uplift studies or geo-block studies? And then also prioritize like that consistency in your media experience across different channels. So ask yourself the question, are we producing ads? Are we creating ads and media experiences that I would actually want to see or engage with, or that would grab my attention? Are they adequate, sufficient, and effective in communicating my brand story? a consumer's behavior changes on devices at different times, and just kind of following the previous slide, it's really, really critical that we apply that data-driven approach that unifies these different distinct channels and creates a cohesive brand experience for each customer or each consumer. And as I said, like lean on those channel nuances, the advantages of those channels, the real kind of like match to those objectives, and then measure the effectiveness of each channel in the most appropriate ways. I spent some time unpacking some of the tactics and some of these advanced tactics. So evaluating performance metrics. Evaluating performance metrics. Let's dive into the data. Let's analyze key performance indicators like click-through rate, CTR, conversions, return on ad spend to gauge the effectiveness of each audience segment and strategy layer. It's really important that we understand the audience overlap. So we can utilize our own insights tool, audience insights tool, to identify overlaps between your first-party audiences, lookalike audiences, third-party segments, browsing audiences. This really helps to refine targeting and avoid that ad fatigue. Also prevents you bidding against yourself and competing against yourself for eyeballs, driving the price up. Assess scale and relevance. So strike the right balance, or try to strike the right balance between accuracies and volume. Now, with each step down, we can look at how we might be able to leverage third-party data to leverage third-party data as our scale generator, and then refine that as we looked at with the custom intersect segments with a browsing audience to try and determine in-market interest. Feedback loop. So obviously we'll leverage these learnings to inform future campaigns. Use insights gained from performance evaluation to refine audience segmentation, and then obviously start with targeting strategies. And just finally on this one, iterate and optimize use. Using StackAdapt's platform, it's very easy, it's very accessible to test different combinations of audiences and continuously refine your approach over time and get that real-time feedback through analytics. A little bit more on that kind of waterfall approach. So you can really seamlessly start to integrate those strategies, a lot of those strategies that we discussed today. And one approach that we kind of tend to recommend is this kind of waterfall way of going about things, where we kind of can start with open marketplace, gradually expanding your reach continuously through monitoring and adjusting for optimal performance. So think about how you might want to start with activating your first-party data. So beginning with your first-party data, you StackAdapt to analyze your existing customer base, identify key characteristics, behaviors, and then define your most valuable users. You can think about adding contextual strategies, so ensure your ads are then shown in the most relevant content, enhancing user engagement. Use this contextual alignment as a second layer to refine your targeting tactics. Create lookalike audiences, so use that seed audience again based on your highest performing customers, your highest value customers, and then leverage our algorithm to find new users. That multiplier effect. It's almost like a cheat code in the open internet to be able to find people that are exhibiting similar traits, similar behaviors as your existing customer base, and then scale smartly. So integrate carefully selected third-party data to extend your campaign's reach even further. Maybe it's a very specific data set, a very niche data set that can only be leveraged through a third-party solution. And just make sure that those align with your brand and campaign goals, ensuring that every addition adds value. I skipped through the last slide because I realized we've only got 4 minutes to go here, and I'm just going to move into customizing creatives. Lastly, we have a massive opportunity to customize creatives, particularly in StackAdapt. There are over 15 different parameters to actually choose from, whether it is audience segments, specific domains, or weather element conditions. There really aren't any rules or limitations that you need to apply, or that you can apply, but don't forget that to ensure that you have a few standard creatives in rotation in case, like, your creative tactic, that there isn't an exact match for it. So otherwise you'll end up in a scenario where your campaign actually stops. Okay, nearly there. So let's wrap this up here. What are the takeaways from today? What might have got those tails wagging? Well, for me, it's all about embracing the future. The time is now. Lean on new, exciting developments, particularly in the AI space. Test at scale, test at velocity, learn, iterate, and enhance your campaigns. Think about how you might activate your first-party data if you have it, and you can. This is a real gold mine. Use to nurture, educate, and grow lifetime value of existing customers, whilst also use as a seed to build lookalikes, explore personalization options as well. And then finally, harness the power of context. Implement contextual strategies to create positive media experiences, tailor creative to content, increase share of voice in hyper-relevant environments, win consumer attention, and favor in the open internet in general.
Thank you so much, Matt. I'll quickly take over from here. We are now moving to the Q&A section. We don't have that much time left, but please continue to submit your questions through the webinar panel. We have already received several questions, so we might be able to answer like maybe one or two of them. So I'll start with the first one. Can we leverage real-time data to improve our audience targeting strategies?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's consider some of the data inputs that we've considered today. Like location could be a real-time data signal. Think about if you've got a physical bricks and mortar store. Could you be using very hyper-local geo-targeting strategy to find users who are in your vicinity? Is there any kind of audience intersections that you could also layer onto that? Is it a specific demographic that you're trying to reach? Have they recently, or are they consuming content in that location that could indicate that they are of interest? So there's lots of ways in which you can leverage location, context. I think context is a brilliant real-time indicator of intent. It's literally serving ads at that point of content consumption. So think about targeting articles that maybe even call out competitors. Maybe there's been some bad, there's been something bad in the press about one of your competitors, and actually you want to take advantage of that. You see that as an opportunity to advertise and to steal market share based on negative sentiment that's out there for one of your closest rival brands.
Thank you so much, Matt. I think we don't have much more time left, so that kind of wraps our session for today. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I got some useful takeaways. Please stay tuned for a follow-up email from us with the recording coming up tomorrow, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any further questions. Again, thank you so much, Matt, and have a lovely day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.